Good afternoon. My name is Richard Chambers. I'm the Commissioner of Police, and it's a real privilege to have here with us today Prime Minister, Minister of Police and Mayor Wayne Brown. I welcome you to the site of our new inner city police base. This base will be home to 51 beat staff and other operational police units, including prosecution staff and firearms safety authority staff. This base brings our presence in Auckland City's CBD back for the benefit of this community. We will have 51 staff, as I say, and it's been made possible with the investment and support from the government. I thank both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Police for the support that has been provided to us and for the advocacy of our Mayor to make this possible. 51 beat staff that will work 24/7 across the Central Business District. We will also be opening a public counter here in the base here in the CBD. That will occur at some point next year. So thank you for the support. Thank you for being here to celebrate this opportunity for us. And particularly for me, is on my first day as the Commissioner of Police in the very district. The very district that I began my police career in back in 1996. And I too, as a young constable, spent time walking the beat here in this city. And I know from that experience just how much it means to this community in terms of our visibility, our presence, for us to get to know this community and for them to get to know us. A great opportunity for us all, and I'm sincerely thankful to this government, to this community, to the Mayor and my colleagues for the work that they do in making this a safe city. Thank you, and Prime Minister.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Hey, well, kia ora, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you all here. Commissioner, congratulations on your first day in the new role. It's probably already felt like a week or so since you've been doing it, but it was pretty special before for the Commissioner and I to have a photo with a brand new constable on his first day downstairs as well as part of the beat team. Hey, listen, it's coming up, this week is actually the anniversary of our first year in government, and you know, we've made some tremendous progress over the last 12 months. We know there's a lot more for us to do. I have to say, 12 months into this job, I feel incredibly optimistic about the future for New Zealand. I think there is no reason why together we can't build the best small country on planet Earth, period. And we know we've got work to do economically, socially, environmentally, but we're working our way through that. We certainly for now are in a turnaround job, and that means that we have been very focused over the last 12 months and will continue to be very focused in the next 12 months on making sure we rebuild the economy so that we can reduce the cost of living for people and also get the growth of the economy in place, which then in turn enables us to deliver better public services, particularly in the areas of health and education. But importantly, a third part has been to restore law and order across New Zealand. And it's pretty simple. We want a society where people feel safe in their homes, their businesses, their communities. We want a society where people actually take the rights and freedoms of being a New Zealander, but also actually practice the responsibilities and duties they have to each other and also to the country. And so with that in mind, we've been really focused on three things. The first is making sure that we have gang laws in place to deal with what we've seen, a 33% growth in violent crime. And people often say to me, why are you going after the gangs so hard? And it's pretty simple. They're 1/4 of 1% of the population of New Zealand, and yet responsible for 20 to 25% of all the serious and violent crime in this country. And I just want to commend the police over the last year and even in the recent week for the work that they've been doing, enforcing the law around gang patches in particular, which has led to discovering other criminal activity, but also the work that they've been doing going after the gangs with the gang disruption units. We've seen the work of the Comancheros, the headhunters out in West Auckland, and also Mongrel Mob and Opotiki. So, you know, we're sending a message very strongly to young people that gang life is not a way forward for you or your family. The second area has been around serious young offenders. As you know, we've had major challenges around retail crime. There's been a fourfold increase in ram raids when we took over, and now we see a 60% reduction in ram raids by virtue of sending the message to young people that this is not an acceptable activity and that there will be consequences for it. The third piece is making sure that we can add more to our police force and lift up our recruitment efforts. You've seen that with respect to the beat teams and getting police out into the CBDs across New Zealand. You've seen it with extra investment in the gang disruption units as well. The good news is that our attrition rates within the police are consistent with what they've been for the last decade, around 4.6%, and we've got good demand building into next year. We're actually expanding the recruitment wings out to 100 per class of new people wanting to come and join the police because of the organisation that it is. And the last piece is obviously very much working on sentencing laws. You've seen us talk about stalking in this week, about making sure there's a maximum 5-year cap for that and defining stalking offences more specifically. Name suppression with respect to sexual offences as well. Again, we are wanting to be on the side of victims, not on the side of offenders. So all in all, can I just say, Commissioner, welcome to the new job. Thank you for the leadership you've already shown in the last week. To Mark and also to the Mayor, I know how hard you two have both worked with your respective organisations at the Council and also through the ministries, working together on some of the really difficult and challenging problems that we've encountered in the CBD, and I hope you feel proud of the progress. There's a lot more for us to do, but we should be pleased with where we've gone to so far. With that, I'll pass off to Mark to talk a little bit more about the events of what we've got here planned here.
Thanks, Prime Minister. And yeah, can I just also congratulate the Commissioner on his first day. It's not a bad way to start your first day. Opening a new police station in our Auckland CBD, our biggest city, and it's really important to have that presence return with a shop front for the public to access. And of course, our beat teams operate out of here, and I reflect too that I was on the beat here in Auckland CBD when I started my policing career, and I loved it. It's a great way to hone your communication skills. You get to build relationships with the retailers and the shopkeepers. You get to gather intelligence and know what's happening inside your patch, and you take ownership of it. And we've just visited the beat team before coming up here, and if you fast forward 30 years, that's exactly what they're doing, and they're doing an outstanding job, and we're getting really positive feedback from the public on that as well. In terms of our goals, yes, I think it's our anniversary, is it? 1 year in government? Yeah. Yep. Can I acknowledge the Prime Minister? For me as Minister of Police, I cannot do and deliver and work with the Mayor and everyone else in this country without very strong support from the Prime Minister, and he has been unwavering in that, and he has made it very clear as an incoming government that we are prioritising public safety. And you would have seen that we brought a very big program of legislation into the House. Much of that has been passed, and with a big focus on back to basics and the police getting back to their core role. And I think the beat teams have been a resounding success around the country. I was with them last week in Wellington. The feedback that I got from the retailers there was outstanding. Can I acknowledge our worship, the Mayor, Wayne Brown. Your worship, thank you. We brought everyone together, every stakeholder that had some important role to play in the safety of our CBD came together about 8 or 9 months ago. And that includes residents and ratepayers groups, that includes Business Association, Maori Wardens, CPNZ, KO, MSD, police of course, local council. And it's been very, very effective in us getting together an aligned strategy in terms of how we increase safety in our CBD, and it's proving to be very successful because I love this city, and it's like I said, it's often the first place that visitors touch. And actually the people that reside in the city and the people that come here to work deserve to be in a safe environment, and without a doubt we're heading in the right direction. So look, I'll wrap it up there, and we'll go to any questions.
Well, I'll let Mayor Brown say a few words quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, Commissioner. Day one, new cop shop where I live. I speak as the Mayor and as a resident of the CBD, so I'm delighted about this sort of thing. I want to recognise my friend, Acting Deputy Commissioner Sam Hoyle, who has been working with me for some time about improving safety in the city. The council has been quite happy to join up with all that groups that Mark and I have worked with, including funding compliance, additional compliance wardens, and we've reminded everybody that the city isn't just Queen Street, it's K Road as well, and out to Ponsonby. As we head into the festive season, I'd like to see more people coming into K Road and into the central city to see the Christmas tree and have a good time and feel safe about it. This is a good step in the right direction. Thanks very much, Mark. Good friend, and congratulations. Yeah. Good on you, and thank you for coming up. Good to see you.
Great. Well, with that, team, we're happy to take any questions that you may have in between the four of us. We can answer it.
urgent is this space? How necessary is it?
Look, it is really necessary. I mean, the situation we inherited a year ago was that we saw violent crime up 33%. We saw a doubling of retail crime. We saw a fourfold increase in ram raids. And so we have defined the problem and we've then tried to put common sense solutions in place. And what has been really encouraging is from when Mark and I first walked with the beat teams back in July, which were put in place, I think, July 1, we've seen already good reaction from the retailers and from the public generally feeling safer. So this is the sort of thing, as a result out of the Auckland experience, it's gone into Christchurch and Wellington and then rolling out into other cities across the country. So it's exactly what we want to see, police being highly visible, and surprise, surprise, the relationships get deeper and the crime comes down. That's what we've got to see a lot more of.
How much is this going to cost?
This particular investment in the police station, I'll let Mark talk about that.
Okay, well, I can answer that if you like. Look, that is commercially sensitive. The support, though, that we have had from the government is not only to support the uplift in our beat staff, but it's also the fact that we're actually right here. So we will be occupying this entire building in due course. We also have a lot of infrastructure that helps us to do what we need to do in policing. So the support that we've had from government has been exceptional to make this possible, but I'm not able to mention figures, unfortunately.
So is it entirely taxpayer funded?
Yes. So essentially what's happening is you've got a building here that actually has 4 floors, and what we're doing is taking over all 4, whereas today currently the police operate 2 of those floors, and so that is subject to commercial negotiations, which is why we're not talking about how much
There's
it's
no
costing.
PPP involved in it.
Commissioner, are the 51 additional to what is currently on the beat, or is it, and where are they coming from?
So we have 30 existing staff who focused on beat patrols, although they did not work from here. So we brought those 30 into the CBD here. We're adding another 21 to that with the support of the government. And at the moment we're up to 43, so we've got 8 more to go, but I'm confident we'll get there very, very soon. It's no surprise to me, as you've heard the Minister and me say, that one of the fundamentals and basics of policing is our visibility in communities, and going about that on foot is what we are as an organisation for New Zealand. So it's no surprise that this is a very, very popular way of being who we are in our country and in this CBD.
Why is it so hard to find the extra 8 and get them starting today?
Oh no, it's we have to balance a whole lot of priorities, obviously. So it's not so hard. It's something that we will achieve very soon. I'm confident of that. So you'll appreciate that we need to make a bunch of decisions. We need to balance a bunch of demands. But I know that soon we'll have 51 beat staff working 24/7 here in the CBD.
Would the aim be for mid-2025 to match the opening of this public counter?
So at this stage, we don't have an exact date, but we are working towards mid-2025 to have this public counter opened 24/7, providing a service to this community in the Central Business District.
Commissioner, there were calls for such a police base in downtown. Why not downtown?
We are very central right here. We are very proximate to the transport network, to K Road, to Square. This is a fantastic location for us to be. So it's at the centre of all the activity that we should be focused on as well.
Any plans for something downtown later on?
Small steps. Let's just make sure we stand up our 51 staff here, that we get 24/7. We have a public counter. There's always going to be new opportunities. We also need to focus on our visibility and our presence in other communities across New Zealand as well, and very pleased to have the support of the government to focus on those locations as a priority as well.
How many people would go to the public counter now, and how many more would you expect to come here?
I can't give you figures at this point in time. The public need to go up to College Hill. For some that can be a challenge. This is a lot more central, so we're hoping that it means that we can provide a service that's more accessible and easier for this community to get to 24/7 from the middle of next year.
Commissioner, just on the College Hill station, what's the future of that, and then also the old station on Vincent Street as well? Any plans for either of those?
Yeah, well, Vincent Street, the old station's up for sale, so taking bids. Otherwise, at College Hill, look, the rest of the policing services that look after the City of Auckland are based there and other locations across Tamaki Makaurau. So nothing is going to change in that respect. They will still operate as they currently do. But right now, right here, this is our visibility in the CBD, our beat staff and other tactical groups that provide the service to the Central Business District community.
And did the city mission across the road have anything to do with the location that you've chosen?
No, not at all, no.
What difference do you hope the new station will make to the crime rate in Auckland?
I have no doubt that we will see an improvement in trust and confidence, that our visibility directly connects to the safety, as you've heard the Prime Minister and the Minister say. Our presence and our visibility has a direct connection to their safety and their perceptions of safety, so I have no doubt that it's a positive step forward. And you've already heard in the last year of the improvements that have been made for various crime types. This will only build on those successes.
Prime Minister, what did you make of TJ Perenada's haka?
Oh, look, I actually didn't see it. I was actually travelling down to Queenstown yesterday, so I missed bits of the game and watched it afterwards in highlights. But look, obviously that's an issue for him and also for rugby union. What I'd just say is, look, there are strong feelings on all sides of this debate, as I've been saying for a long period of time. Our position's well understood. We're not supporting the bill at second reading, therefore it won't become law.
Should sport and politics mix?
Look, those are decisions ultimately for New Zealand Rugby to work through and to think through. But from my point of view, I just acknowledge there are a range of views across the country around the Treaty Principles Bill in particular. And, you know, as I said, our position's pretty clear.
Is it the hardest thing you have worked on as part of this coalition, the Treaties Bill?
No, the hardest things would be economically, you know, just dealing with the mess that we inherited, and actually how do you work your way through that, knowing that the economy is not just an end in itself. The economy is actually what enables us, if we get it moving in the right direction and growing, enables us to afford the public services that we all want to see, whether that's around policing, whether it's around infrastructure, housing, health, education, all of those things. So, you know, to be honest, the hardest thing we've dealt with in the last 12 months is, you know, wrestling with the economic mess that we've inherited, getting it, you know, gripped up and sorted so that we can actually lower inflation, lower interest rates, take the cost of living pressure down off people, which has been causing huge stress and anxiety for folk. You know, when you think about it, you know, the last government ran up government spending by 84%. That drove into huge amounts of inflation. When you have high inflation, you have to take interest rates up. It's the immutable laws of economics. And when the average New Zealander had to deal with $500 a fortnight just to pay for their mortgage, and then all the other costs that went up off the back of inflation, that's been the hardest thing for us to wrestle with.
But is it the hardest part of being part of a coalition,
What's that?
this treaty bill?
Well, as I've said, you know, we've got vast alignment around the economy, around public services, around law and order amongst the three parties. We're in a mature MMP environment, as you see in Western Europe, that often comprise of, in their cases, 4 to 6 you know, parties. Yes, there are differences, as I've said up front, you know, right from the get-go. You know, this is something that we don't support at all as a national party. The ACT party wanted to go out to a full national referendum. We came to a compromise, and this is the compromise that we've both parties would be unhappy with. But that is the reality of mature MMP environment, and whether it was another coalition government of a different configuration, there will be tensions within that as well, and we just need to understand we can actually acknowledge those differences, but also acknowledge that this is a government that, with the three parties I'm very proud of, I think has performed very well over the last 12 months.
Station really quickly.
Sorry.
Commissioner. When police closed the previous downtown station in Fort Street, they said it was because it was about making good use of available resources. What's changed?
We have a very supportive government here that is very keen to continue to support build our presence across cities across the country. And being here, having 51 staff working from this base is about our provision of services to communities, and I think we all agree that's an absolute priority.
In 2026, Auckland is due to have several underground train stations opening. What challenge does this pose for policing, and will this new station help?
Well, the transport network here is part of this community, and as I mentioned earlier on, the proximity of where we are right now to that network is absolutely fundamental. And globally, actually, you know, police need to understand that network and be visible in it too. So walking the beat here down in the streets, in the commercial sectors, but also on the transport network, that's absolutely good policing, and it's back to basics.
Labor has previously said that a focus on central city crime is fine, but the government is ignoring crime in other areas of our bigger city. What are you doing to address this? Probably a tricky question.
Yeah, look, I mean, let me answer that one. What I'd say is that it's all very lovely, but the reality is over the last 6 years under that government, crime outcomes went backwards. And so we saw a 51% growth in gangs, we saw a 33% growth in violent crime, we saw retail crime double, and we saw a fourfold increase in ram raids. That is the reality of that record. So no disrespect, but I don't take any advice or counsel from the Labor Party.
Labor didn't seem to have any focus anywhere when it came to public safety, and that's exactly why we ended up where we did as a country.
Yeah.
It's fair to say that Sam Hoyle has joined me in visiting Otahu and Papatoetoe and a whole lot of other areas, and I'll make sure that, and I'll speak regularly with Mark to make sure that those parts of the city aren't forgotten.
Yeah, well said.
You know, my city goes from Wellsford to Pukekohe.
Yeah, well said. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Just regarding the spin-off story, the woman who was stalked continued to report violent threats for over a year before an arrest was made and continues to get threats to this day. How is this happening, and have you requested an explanation from police over it?
Well, again, this is exactly, I mean, these are really harrowing stories, actually, and when you sit down and talk to people who have been stalked, it's incredibly anxiety-inducing, creates huge amounts of fear in the individual, but also within the family unit. And that is exactly why we're wanting to pass stalking legislation, which we announced, I think, Sunday week ago, because we're saying, hey, listen, this is a really serious offence. We hear this over and over again. It's time that we actually have a formal law in place to deal with it, a maximum penalty of up to 5 years, and actually we define what stalking is in terms of recording and the other harassment components of it. So, help is on the way, because, we have identified this in our conversations with victims who have been stalked and continue to be stalked, that we need to beef it up big time, and that's exactly what we plan to do.
Commissioner, has any action been taken with a police officer who was photographed wearing a black power jacket?
Yeah, well, look, what I can say about that situation is obviously I'm very disappointed. But as I said last week, and I was announced as the Commissioner of Police, from time to time we will make mistakes. What I would like to see my staff do is acknowledge they could have made a better decision. It does actually let all of us down, and it lets New Zealanders down. So I'm disappointed, but I am very grateful that the police officer involved has accepted responsibility, and we will have a closer look at anything further that may need to occur, but we will learn from this and we'll move on.
Do you know how many gang pitches have been seized?
No, I don't. I know that we've had 16 prosecutions since the legislation began midnight last week, Thursday morning, so we are making outstanding progress. I'm really encouraged by what my staff have been doing and what they're focused on, and I'm also really encouraged what I'm seeing in terms of gang members making good decisions. So 16 prosecutions. We will continue to do what we are now empowered to do, but I would also like to see that encouragement involved in respect of gang members making decisions continue, good decisions.
What was that police officer's explanation for having worn that patch?
I can't comment on that. I haven't spoken to the officer involved. Obviously my colleagues will speak with him, but I am aware that he has accepted responsibility for making a bad decision.
So is there any other accountability on that officer?
Well, as I said, we will have a closer look at anything further that we may need to do there. At this point in time, it's obviously wouldn't be fair for me to comment further.
And in those 16 instances of prosecutions following the gang patch legislation, have they been all smooth? Have they gone smoothly? Have there been any issues yet?
No issues that I'm aware of. My staff are doing a magnificent job across the country. I think about just last week the work done up here with the headhunters. I think about the influence and presence of gang members in the smaller communities. I think about my staff, 3 minutes after midnight when the legislation came in, they were out there and they acted. I've spoken to both those constables and thanked them for being so proactive. We have outstanding work happening across the country day and night, and I know that that's going to continue. The feedback I'm getting from frontline staff is they feel absolutely empowered to do their job and do it well.
Great. Well, can I say thank you everyone for coming along.